Excuse me. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
Yay, that was so fast.
I know. It was right as I came online, you were there.
Yes. Success. Hi. So nice to see you.
So good to see you. I'm so excited for this.
Where are you, by the way?
As you can tell by the light outside, am not in New York. I'm in California at the moment in a little town called Nevada City.
Oh, okay. I know
Yeah.
Nevada City. I think
You
we're
do?
still very far away from us.
Yes.
Very, very far away from us, but I guess you were just a little bit closer. Actually, no,
Yeah.
thinking about that.
No, I'm in it's like Eastern California.
Okay.
So I am like, you know, as close as you can get within the state.
I am a California native. So
Oh, really?
I am not from New York. No, not whatsoever. I am originally from Santa Cruz. So
Oh,
very,
amazing. I love Santa Cruz.
yeah. So I'm so glad that you can join us. I'm really excited to talk to you about your book because oh my gosh, it's amazing. Telling everybody about it and trying to get everybody to read it every chance I get. Because I think that there are so many just just gold nuggets in there. I mean, there's so many wonderful, meditations and advice and clearing and practices and just, um, and I just had the opportunity during my integrating intuition workshop to share your book with everyone. And I was like, I want to just completely redo this whole class and just add all of your meditations to it because there's so many wonderful, but I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to direct you to the book and I'm going to direct you to the website because there's so much amazing information and practices in there. So, yeah, so for everybody who is currently here and everybody who will be here in the future when the video is saved, um, this is the All Sweet Death Author Chat Book of the Month. And today we are talking with Tiffany Hopkins, who is the author of this book. Please don't mind all of my notes.
Yes, I love it.
How
Book
much
well
I
read.
book. There's like notes on notes on notes in there. So this is Tiffany's book, and Tiffany is an author and a medium. And I'm just going to let her take the floor and talk about who she is and what she does and how this book came to be. So um, go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love to hear your kind words about the book. That's literally everything I was hoping for when I wrote it is that people would read it and feel inspired and want to do these things themselves and share it with people and build community around this practice, which is at one level talking to the dead, but also a lot of other levels of connecting with ourselves and our bodies and connecting with the world around us and learning discernment and understanding intuition. And there's just so much that goes into this process that I really felt was left out of both our regular culture and, in a lot of ways, typical mediumship culture. And that was really, I'd been teaching a class with Morbid Anatomy called Mediumship for Creativity for a few years, and I was like, I want to write the material from that class up, which is it's just a class of like the reality of how similar mediumship is with creativity. Like when you're making art, you're channeling inspiration, you're maybe channeling something inside you or your own experience, maybe something outside you you don't even really know, and it introduces the tools of mediumship to creatives. And I started writing that book, and then I was like, oh, there's so much more. And I was like, I need to write the book I wanted when I was learning mediumship. And that's what Beyond is. And it ended up kind of exploding. There's a lot about history, there's a lot about current science and how we can think about what mediumship is. Because for me, one of the biggest hurdles to becoming a medium was that it just didn't make sense in my intellectual mind that I could do this or that people did this or that it could be helpful to my life. And I really had to convince myself that it was okay. And part of that was researching like crazy. all the kind of scientific backing of what's happening, the psychological backing of what's happening, the historical foundations to this that reach through like all of human history. And then finally, the actual practice of it. Probably most importantly, like mediumship is something we can talk about all day and it's fascinating and learning about it is so important, but a huge chunk of the book is about how to practice it because it's something you have to experience for yourself. And the only way you can convince yourself it's real is when you try it and experience it and you're like, oh, okay, I can't really deny that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And there is so much science behind mediumship. And I love that. And I really love that about your book too, because I think the same way. And so, as somebody who has had this sensitivity my entire life since I was a child, I've never had a choice but to believe in it because mine has always been really strong since I was really little. But you know, like you spend so much time growing up and people saying like, oh, that's not real, especially if you're from a religious family, and you know, they kind of just, no, 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 that's just a coincidence. You have an active imagination, you're a child. No, actually, that's intuition, and we should pay attention to it and foster it and nurture it. But we're taught from such an early age to ignore it and that it's not real and it's not possible. And I think that, you know, also there's the fact that, you know, mediumship in general and spiritualism have such a tainted history of being false. And I mean, there are good reasons for that, but there's
Mhm.
also that also discredits those of us that actually are not just doing it for the show. We're doing it because we want to have that experience and be able to have that communication. And so I've been having a lot of discussions about this lately because I just went to the magic exhibition at the New York Public Library of the Performing Arts.
Mm.
And we went to go see Harry Houdini's grave. And as you
Oh.
know, Harry
Hmm.
Houdini was not a fan of mediums.
Not a fan.
And I love Harry Houdini, but I understand, you know, there's that part of me that understands why he feels that way because it was a different world back then. And, you know, I always say that he was born at the wrong time to trust
Mhm.
mediums because I think if he were alive now, he would have had the opportunity to see like what it looks like without all the smoke and mirrors around it, you know? And so,
Yeah.
although I do love a good show, I also understand the background and why it kind of has that stigma of, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if I should believe this. So, you know, it's kind of an uphill battle to be a medium as it is. And you have the opportunity to live in such an amazing place with such a rich history of mediumship. Um, that I mean, I just think that's incredible. I've never been to Lilydale, but I've read many books about it. So someday I'll make it there.
Yes, please come visit. You know, I talk a lot about in the book how, for me, hey, we have a visitor here, Mr.
Hello.
Sylvester. He's like, I want in on this. Um, for me, I came from a background, like part of my family was spiritualist, but a big portion of my family was sort of uh, both anti-religion and sort of intellectuals. And so I really feel like I couldn't have let go and allow myself to try mediumship and really accept that it was happening to me my whole life too. And I just sort of pretended it was a lot of other things or just thought it was other things and just kind of waved it away or assumed it was just me thinking. That was the biggest thing is like I thought it was just I was getting ideas like because I came up with ideas and now it's so interesting as I look back I'm like a lot of that was from outside of myself and having that acceptance has been really important and I don't think I could have gotten there without a community like Lilydale and because I'm fifth generation spiritualist on one side of my family, I ended up, yeah. And it wasn't even a big deal in the family. It was like, it was always sort of around, but in my parents' practice when I was a kid. And so there was like this opening that it was possible. But I sort of turned away from it and didn't take it too seriously. I was really into school. Like I have had a career in tech and strategy and marketing and all these like very mundane, not spiritual aspects of the current world. And I needed to be like plopped into this community that's like, no, this is real and we're not questioning it. Everybody there's no conversation about if it's real or not. The conversation is how do we do it well? How do we get it? How do we share it? How do we integrate it into every part of our lives? How do we talk about it? How do we grow it? That's the conversation. There's never a conversation if it's real or not there because it's
Oh yeah.
just assumed. And I needed that to be like, oh, this is possible. This is another way of looking at it. And it's beautiful and it creates such an important way to live in the world of this like continuity through ancestors and through time and through like spirit and connection that was just revelatory for me. And it was so important. And I definitely encourage anybody who's interested to go visit or form a little community of people where you can not necessarily just constantly debate if it's real or not, but instead try it and see what happens and talk about how it impacts your life because that's the interesting part.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think the ethics is so important too. Like how to do it well, how to do it right,
Mhm.
how to do it in a way that doesn't cause harm. It's very similar
Yeah.
to grief work. You
Yeah.
want to think about how can I do this where I'm keeping an open mind, I'm having them keep an open mind, but I'm also not causing harm. And really it's the same. It's the same in so many different ways, that you're just giving people permission to trust and listen to
Mm.
themselves and
Yep.
listen to their intuition. And that works in mediumship, that works with intuition, that works with grief, because I always ask people in grief spaces too, when they say, I say, for example, like, I really miss my dog, I'm having a hard time. And I said, well, talk to them. Do you
Yeah.
think talk to them? I said, I don't know. Do you want to talk to them? Yeah, I want to talk to them. Well, talk to them. It's
Hmm.
okay. I'm giving,
Yeah.
but you have to give yourself permission too. And I think that just that like allowance to like do something that you wouldn't normally do or that you don't think is logical. It's okay to question what else there is or what other ways we can soothe or communicate and so I think that it is really important that people give themselves permission to open that up, because what I find is, um, at least in my circles of where we have conversations around intuition and practice intuition, most everybody has it.
Yeah.
I get to have a person in my class that has said, no, no, I've tried all the things, nothing's working. Something always works for them. And then, there's those moments of, oh, this one time I remember I knew about this before it happened. And then, and so everybody has it. It's just really just, it's like an exercise,
Yes.
you just have to work at it. You have to practice it. You have to, nurture it. And so I had some like very specific questions for you. Um,
Awesome. I love questions.
There's so many things I want to talk about that I feel like I could just talk to you for hours and hours and hours. And maybe someday I'll get the opportunity to visit when you're in Lilydale. Everybody I know is going this summer, and I'm like, yeah, I got this big art project coming up. I can't leave, but I'll not a bad thing, but I will make it out there at some point.
Yeah, and I do feel like Lilydale, it's sort of like going back in time a little bit. So go when you're ready and you have the space. It'll
Yeah.
be there, you know?
Yeah. I think that I'll when the time is right, I'll go.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
okay. So one of my questions was, do you believe a relationship to an object or space can favor, I don't know if I wrote that right. Can favor the person. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay. I know what this is. Sorry. I wrote this a couple weeks ago. Do you believe a relationship to an object or space can favor the person who loves it? For example, if it were taken away from a person, could it become attached?
Oh, interesting. 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 So, are you looking at it from the perspective of the object or the person?
Like, okay, let's say that a child, I guess it could work for a space or it could work for an object, but let's say like a child had a really strong connection to a teddy bear
Mm-hmm.
and somebody cruelly took it away from them. I don't know who would do that. And they deserve whatever karma is coming for them, but somebody takes it away from them
Yeah.
and that object favored the person back. I don't know how much you believe in objects and in
Mm.
spaces favoring people, but let's just say it's a teddy bear and it favored that child and someone took it away. Do you think that that is how potentially an object could become attached energetically and could mimic the energies? Or maybe this question works better with the space. Okay, we're
Mm.
talking about your house,
Mm-hmm.
talking about like bringing it to life and making it what you want it to be. Um, do you think that houses are attached to people in the way that ghosts get attached to houses, but the other way? Like, could it happen energetically if a person was still alive,
Mm-hmm.
a ghost, but a person was still alive, just energetically, um, that it was haunted by like that was still alive?
Okay, so I love this question. It's so like deep and nuanced and cuts really deeply to the core because for me, I believe that everything has an existence, I would say, and has energy. I mean, for lack of a better word, has energy, has desires, has movement, and has a life. And yes, it might not be like heart is beating or growing, um, but it has a life. And especially with a house or a place or even an object, feeling and respecting that object and that place and how it might feel is, I think it's really important for us to be like whole humans to do that. I think there's this like approach of dominance that humans are the only ones that feel things. Humans are the only ones that have desires and make decisions, and that just leaves out this vast portion of our existence, and it's kind of sad. And I love the idea that my house kind of loves me back, and I know my house in particular pulls me towards it, and I think about it all the time. We have a relationship, and yeah, it's not like with a person, but it's a respect and it's a communication, and I think about it. I think about what it wants and what it needs and how it's changing, right? Because a house does change. Like it has a beginning and a life and an end. And thinking about how it's pulling me towards certain things, how it's guiding me, how it's creating a space for me, how it's nurturing me, how it's supporting me, how it's a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And I it's so it's a loss, I think, in our culture to forget that there's reciprocity in every single part of our life, everything, whether we think it's just, you know, this magazine sitting in front of us or, you know, a beautiful place in nature that we love or a person. So I really do think all of that is important to consider and have, you know, some of those words I use like respect and reciprocity and consideration. And I think it makes us better humans and makes our lives better to consider that.
Yeah. And I think that anything we treat with care treats us with care, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And this is one of those conversations that I've had many times because I'm always curious about other people's perspective. And I can't find a lot of like a lot of research or books or anything on this specific. The most recent thing that I've kind of related it to is like a psychic imprint or like not stone tape theory, but kind of perhaps like just some sort of like energy like mark that's left things. So like if you the person that was alive and loved the house and then someday you're gone, would the person that lives in that house actually feel that love that you put into the house? And then with like an object, like if you go to an antique store and I know like this is often like a haunting or attached to it, but sometimes people have and like people's energy. I feel like marks on things. Like if you have really good energy or you have really bad energy, and you have like a specific crystal that you really love, and somebody else picks it up, they might feel that. And so I've always just kind of wondered like what other people's perspective is on like can people's energy from people who are still alive like leave an imprint as sort of like haunting but not really in the tradition.
One of my kind of go-to thought experiments with anything, whether it's spirit or an object or a place, is if it was a person, how would I treat it and how would I consider it? And just sort of give that same.
Uh-oh.
Oh, can you hear me?
Is it me or you? One of our sound is coming out. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing a little skipping in
Yeah.
your voice. Are you hearing it from?
I can hear myself too though, so I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Do you perhaps have a Bluetooth on?
I'm not using headphones. Would that help?
No, because sometimes there's a Bluetooth on and it's been left on, it will do the weird feedback thing. So it's mine's not on.
Any better?
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's okay. It here and there it's been going out, so I just wanted to check.
Actually, I think it's a little better from my
Yeah,
side.
I can hear you. You're just kind of quiet. It might just be from
I have a quiet voice.
do I sound quiet?
Technically, I just hear like
Yeah, what is it's always something.
always some sort of brainstorm here, which I feel like just makes the internet not work as well. I mean, I have full reception, so
Yeah, it's just you're so quiet. Here, let me turn it up a little bit, see if that helps. Anyway,
and I
um,
switched to headphones.
huh?
On headphones.
Sure. I have no problem with reading and seeing if that helps. Go ahead.
That is, I'm gonna have to move up. Yeah,
Wish I had.
let's get headphones.
I also have cats. They are not wanting to hang out with me. Usually they do during Zooms or live or
And
whatnot.
as soon as the Zoom happens, Sylvester's like, "Oh,
My white cat come up here and just go right in front of the camera. Fingers crossed.
How's that sounding?
Oh, that's so much better.
Yes? Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Amazing.
So, um,
So,
my next question was kind of a comment slash question around astro travel.
ooh,
Um,
yeah.
I learned recently that part of my intuitive or psychic gifts were astral projection. I would go places and see them in great detail in dreams, and later on recognize them in various ways. I've been using your exercise to do this on my own, which I've never done before. By the way, I have always traveled without like planning it. It just happens. So I've been using your exercise that's in your book, and I'll let you talk about that more,
Mhm.
um, to do this on my own. What are ways that you feel this is helpful both in mediumship and in daily life, practicing that exercise of going outside of yourself and traveling?
Absolutely. I love this because I don't think a lot of people connect this to mediumship, but for me, it is a foundational skill, like a technical skill to learn, and in a really different way than we're traditionally talking about astral travel. Um, because for me, part of it's almost a meditation. It's an ability to hold a focus in a specific physical location, which is outside the body and usually outside of my physical location. I did start by almost just practicing moving my attention and spending time, like having my perception be in different parts of my body. And that was sort of my first step, which I think traditionally wouldn't be considered astral travel, but for me, that was like part of my learning and allowed me to a figure out what it feels like to be in a different place, like to have my attention totally focused in a different physical location. So I started in my body and I did that every single day, moving through different parts of my body as part of a meditation. And then I started practicing moving it outside of my body, close to my body. I practiced moving it through time, especially close, like just a few minutes before right now, a few minutes after right now, again, to learn what it felt like in my being to like be somewhere else. And another part of this that sort of occurred that I didn't expect is I started to become much more what we could call embodied because I was paying attention to what it felt like to be me in my body, which is something I've always really struggled with. And then I could discern what it felt like to be, you know, in a completely different place, to be in a non-place. I do that a lot too. That is not our dimension at all. So I practice going to different physical, like I go to my house sometimes and just sit there when I'm not there, or I hang out with my dog a lot if I'm traveling and he's at home. And so these are all practices, and the reason it relates to mediumship is that A, that skill to hold attention, and B, that skill to learn discernment. Because for me, it really feels different to be in the body, to be in my head, to be in my feet. I get different information to be in a physical location outside of my house or in a different state, in a different time. And then for mediumship, to connect in mediumship, and my way of turning it on and off, which is a cornerstone skill, because for me, I don't want mediumship happening whenever spirits choose,
Yeah.
right? Like I need it to happen when I'm ready for it and I have the space and I have the attention to be able to to be there and to serve that connection. I go to a place that physically is outside of my body and is what I call the spirit realm. So I feel it in a different place and I go there. And when I'm there, that's when I connect with spirit. So there's so many levels to why it's important for me in my practice. And I'm not saying that's necessarily what everybody has to do or what everybody's experiencing, but that's how I conceptualize it and make it a practice and make it something I can learn from every time and know when it's mediumship and when I have a living person coming to me, or when I have um, a non-person or non-spirit, like an entity that's an animal or something from the future. I can feel it feels different when it's coming from the future or the past because I practice going to all those places.
I think that's a really great way to practice too, it's basically like
Yeah,
office hours.
exactly.
You can
Yes.
come here for office hours, but please leave me alone all other times. And that is so important because when I was younger, it was all the time, all the time. I couldn't go anywhere without hearing, feeling, like something. And when you're like in your early 20s and you just want to go hang out with your friends and you go to a bar that's got like a history to it, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm listening to you, but I also just saw a woman in white cross over there, and I'm hearing stuff over here, and
Yes.
I didn't really know how to turn that off. And I had somebody tell me once that I was basically like an all night diner for
Mm,
spirits. They know the light is on, they know the sign
yes.
is on, so they just flock to me like flies to a light. And I really had to do a lot of practice around that because it can drive you crazy. I mean, it can happen
Absolutely.
crazy to hear that all the time. And
It's
so,
yeah. It's
uh,
so much extra input, and that's without even considering the cultural significance and challenge to people not believing you that it's happening, right? Like, even if everybody did believe you, it's just extra input that sometimes you can't or don't want to deal with. And so you have to learn that turning on and off. And one of my mentors, like, has the most simple way to do it. Like, I like physically move my attention to the spirit realm, which for me is behind me. But for her, she just like imagines um like a neon open sign, and she just imagines turning it on, and she imagines turning it off. And I'm like, yes, it's so
yeah,
good.
yeah, that seems like it would be ideal for me. I never put those two together, but it's like that, that makes so much. I really don't, I have a practice now where I only intentionally tap in. I don't
Hmm.
want things. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work with my loved ones.
Yes.
They contact me whenever they want, and I'm like, look, and I love you guys, but I'm trying to, like, I'm at the gym right now. I don't need to
Yes.
have action with you. Can you please wait till later? So I've gotten better about like setting boundaries and saying like, hey, this is love you. This is not the time, or yeah, I want to listen to what you have to say, but this is not the time. And so just really
Right.
like having firm boundaries, I think, has helped me a lot manage it in that way. And now as I'm older, I like having this gift. I did not like having it when I was younger. It was
Yeah.
very strong and I did not know what to do with it. And I do really love this practice that you have because like I said, for most of my life, I've been traveling without
Hmm.
meaning to. And I hadn't put together till recently that that's what I was doing. I had an aha moment this summer.
Mm.
But I would go from, I would be, like a little kid. I would be asleep. I'd wake up in a dream and I'm in a natural disaster in some faraway land. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And then I'd wake up and turn on the news and there it is.
Mm.
I was there. I
Yeah.
didn't realize I was going there. That's why I knew what it looked like. How else would you know what a place looks like if you hadn't gone there? And that's like you're actually going there. So I just, assumed that like this is me being psychic and I know. And then this summer, or actually the year leading up to, I went on a 2-month road trip across the country. I did bring your book with me. Uh,
Yes.
I read half of it on my trip because it was just so we were like in a different place every day setting up camp and stuff for 2 months. So reading was I didn't really get as much time to read as I, but okay, I was in nature, so it's okay. I had my moments. But I had been dreaming every single time I dream, it's nighttime. There have been a few daytime dreams, but very rare. So I had been dreaming of driving through this place for a year, pretty much every night. It was like big mountains around me, the same like little shopping area, like, and I just kind of was like, all right, this is just some kind of hodgepodge of places I've been, because I've driven all over the country like several times, and like a lot of towns look the same. This
Hmm.
one's a little different, but it's night and I can't really tell the difference. So I'm getting into Sedona. I had never been there before. And it's nighttime, not really thinking anything of it. The next day I get up, we go in the shuttle and we go into town. I'm driving or I'm riding in the shuttle and I'm looking around and I'm going, "Oh my God. Oh my God." Like, what? And I'm like, this is the place. This is the place. I said, this is what I've been dreaming about every single night. I go, watch, what, wait, natural grocery store. And he's like, oh, how'd you do that? And I said, because I've seen it so many times. That, and you know why I didn't know it was Sedona? It's nighttime. I couldn't tell that the mountains were red. If it would have been daytime,
Hmm.
I would have figured that out sooner. So I knew every single place that I drove past, I could say this. And then
Wow.
even when we get to the end where the turnaround is, I had been there too. And so I was like, yeah, I've been going here for a year and I've never been before. And it's not like I've studied the town and where everything is. And that's when I put together that I'm actually traveling. Like that's actually what's happening. So I started paying more attention to that. Um, Another way that I've used the traveling is my first husband died, and we were really on good terms when he died, and that's always been kind of hard. But I feel that we have a much better relationship now.
Mm.
And only some people will understand what I mean by that. But for his birthday, I will give him astral Reiki, just kind of like
Mm.
a here you go, and I go outside of myself for this. It's
Yes.
inviting him in. I'm going to my astral office
Hmm.
and I'm inviting him there. And then, I'm giving him the Reiki to kind of like keep things smooth. And honestly, it's changed the way we interact since he died a lot. So I feel like it has done some service to him. So having a practice where I'm regularly like working on that, how to pay more attention to that is very useful to someone like me. So
Hmm.
that stuck out to me, which is why I brought it up.
I love it. I love hearing how people do this because it's an inherently creative practice. There isn't like a ton of established ways to do this in our culture and the ways that we figure out for ourselves. And it's taking a leap every time, right? It's like you have to be like, I'm going to go to that place, that astral travel place. I'm going to give him Reiki. I'm going to try it. And you learn and you're like, wow, okay, that shifted things. I'll do it again. I'll try it again. And it's an experimentation. And it it requires a lot of listening to yourself and your intuition, and that's one of the hardest things about being an intuitive or somebody who gets information that isn't necessarily uh, like something you can source outside of just your own experience is that yeah, you get it, and then can you trust it? Can you act from it? And having that courage to act from it is so important and hard and takes so long to develop. And that's where community and things like this book, one of the reasons I wanted to have this book and I want it out there is to help us all develop that like trust in ourselves to be like, yeah, I'm going to act on this and do this thing that I made up essentially. And I don't know if it's going to work or if it's real, and then trusting the experience we have when we do it.
Yeah. And I think that there is so much like room for like intuition and practice of mediumship in creativity and creative practices.
Yes.
Um, I have a
Mm-hmm.
theremin. Technically, it's a theremin, not a classic theremin. But I bought this instrument because it's an intuitive instrument, and I love
Mm-hmm.
it. It's so magical, and it's so cool how you play it. And so, when I play the theremin, I learned how to play. I know how to, how it works, but I don't like to do it that way. I like to play intuitively. And so I just close my eyes and just kind of do whatever with my two hands that I feel. And it makes such beautiful music. And I feel like um, I, on my own, like, thought that that would be a fun way to just go, so let's see what happens, you know? And I love that you talk about using intuition in creative practices, because I think that it would give us so much more freedom if we knew that that was an opportunity to just do what we feel and not feel so like it has to be perfect. It has to be this.
Mm,
And we would create so much more like magical, um, things if we were able to give ourselves that freedom to just, just let it go, listen to your intuition, connect to your higher self, inner self, and be able to, create that way, which is why
yeah.
I really like your idea about doing a seance to bring dead creative projects back from the dead.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's like one of my jokes that is has been for years of like I only do one kind of like resurrection and that's the resurrection of dead projects. That I think is so important and there's just so many things about that that are important for my life of like projects have their own timeline and their own life and sometimes you have to let them go and sometimes you gotta bring them back. And how do we do that? And it goes back to your first question of like, how do we treat these parts of our lives with respect and as their own beings that have needs and have desires and talk to them and be like, hey, you want to try again? Like, what do you need this time around? I have a book project that like is so long and it just I have to let it go all the time and then I'll be like I'll have little inklings like little reminders, little things will come up and then I'll be like, all right, I have to have a conversation with you. Like, what are we doing? Do you want to spend some more time together? Like, let's let's do this. And I love the idea of doing it with other people as witnesses in a circle format. So I haven't done that. That's an idea I've had for ages. So I haven't collected enough people that are into it. I'd say we do it sometime. I think it'd be so fun.
Yeah, no, and I am definitely interested. I mean, I feel like crafting is so much of my life anyway, and so much of my practice around grief and death. And it's a lot of like creative practice is a lot of what I do, using intuition in the funeral space because one of the things that I do in funeral is and it's unfortunately mostly for younger persons, is that I will create like memorial altars that kind of
Mm,
tell the story of the person, that has all of the things they love and all of the things that represented who they were. And I do use intuition when I'm working on these things, hoping for some insight from the person who I'm memorializing. And sometimes, they don't want to work with me. They're like, nope, I'm good. Like, I'm not going to do this. And sometimes they're like, sure, I like this. I like this. I like this, and then there's also that, like, how do you communicate that to people that, where did you get this info from? You can't really say that. Say, oh, what do you think about this? How do you feel about this? Do you think they would have liked this? Yes, that was their favorite, flower or food or, oh, cool. I just had a feeling. I don't know. And
hmm.
nobody really questions that, if you say, I just had a feeling. Because again, it is that intuition, but it's not putting well, I spoke to them, so they told me this is what they liked. That
Yeah.
changes the tone of it a little bit. So, um, I just really think that it's such a useful way to do pretty much everything is to be able to
Right.
just listen to yourself and to listen if you need to other voices outside of yourself, to guide you in those spaces. And, sometimes I invite other people in when I'm, using my theremin because I'm just like, hey, what if like, you know, um, some famous theremin musician wants to join in and
Right.
know how to play a song, and Unfortunately, the only thing I really actually know how to play is the Titanic theme song.
Amazing.
Because my son is obsessed with the Titanic,
I
and
love it.
so I had to
I
learn
love
to
it.
play that for him. But everything else is just kind of, you know,
Improvised.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, well, I
Yeah.
think we still have a little bit of time. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Um, you have so many like wonderful things that I could talk about. And like I said, I've got I've got post-its on everything.
Mm.
Um,
I'm a big fan of Post-its, so I love it.
yeah, I just, and it was like there were so many things that I wanted to ask you, but I had to remind myself like, yeah, we only have an hour. Um, and I can't really, um, ask about absolutely everything. There was another one that I really, really enjoyed. Is it okay if I talk about some of these practices from the book? I'm
Definitely.
always not sure because I'm like, how much do you really want me to talk about this? But I feel like it definitely is going to get more people interested because it's so cool. Um, so I like the Find a Mediumship for Creativity project. I like
Hmm.
the practice that you had, the meditation with going into the cave,
Hmm.
and I won't go through the entire thing, but that was like my favorite thing that I did in your book. And I was able to um, immediately figure out what my next creative project should be.
Hmm.
And I really, really love like old like sets like of
Mm.
old movies like stage sets like really cute like folky moons and like
Hmm.
mermaids waves and little devils and things like that and that was what stood out um was like stage props vintage
Yes.
props and I was like probably not going to do that but I'll draw them
Yeah.
and I had been really struggling with like finding something new to work on as an artist. And it really, really helped kind of give me direction. So I had shared this with many other artists
Hmm.
that they should also A, read your book and B, practice this if they feel stuck
Yeah.
a lot.
That was one that I've done with groups with morbid anatomy. I don't know, at least 10 times. I don't know, maybe 12. Where that was part of the mediumship for creativity class is this, everybody did a project in classic morbid anatomy fashion. And one of the sessions we did this meditation for those who weren't quite sure what to do. Some people know what they're doing right away, but there's always a moment in life where you're like, wait, I don't know exactly. Either there's a few things or it's feeling a little empty. And the foundation for like how that meditation works goes back to again your first question that I loved set the tone for all of this is treating like our projects as beings. Can we go meet them and have a conversation and figure out together like what wants to come in? And it's it I don't know how to say it other than like it works and it's really fun to do.
Yeah. And I it was interesting too because I always have these like connected synchronicities, like so many. Like I was having so many Harry Houdini connections, like with over the course of a week, that he just kept coming up, like coming up. He even tried to stop us from going to his grave. I did not know that the Jewish cemeteries were closed on Saturdays. I did not know that.
Mm.
Um, Went all the way out to Queens. I mean,
Oh gosh.
transportation, but we kept getting turned around and stopped and delayed. There was one time we got off of a bus and then crossed the street and got on another bus, and it was the same bus, and it was like signs like "Don't stop," sit there and it's closed. Like, oh, that's what this was. Thanks for the heads up.
Right.
But just yeah, I did that meditation. And that same day, I went and saw the magic exhibit. And then I saw all of the magic posters and I was like, this. Oh, I love them so much. I love this. And I forgot how much I love magic posters. And I forgot how much, like they remind me of like Mexican pulp art too.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the bright colors and like the very like bold and I was like, yes, this is what I just figured out that I wanted to do as a new practice is like drawing like from these old like pieces of art that I really love, but making it something that's like more modern, like how I would make, how I would draw it. And so um my point is when you're paying attention to your
Yes.
intuition and the signs, you just get directed to where you're supposed to go, to what you're supposed to do, you never run out of creativity because, you know, um, you keep that channel open to, possibilities as not ghosts, but you keep that channel open for like creative experiences and they're always there. They're always around you. And just paying attention, um, they present themselves.
Yeah, and that is such a recurring theme in this work is paying attention. Like, and just you don't even have to remember everything or like, writing it down helps if that's something that, you're
Yeah.
into. Or taking pictures or doing drawings or just having a way to like keep track so that you get that little flag of, oh yeah, this has come up a bunch. And this is like something I did the other day. I got a prompt. I'm reading the book. I think it's called The Book of Alchemy. It came out last year, and it's got this beautiful cover. And I'm spacing on, and it's not right in front of me. Anyways, it's a journaling book, and one of the prompts is to draw 10 things. Actually, it's to write, but I drew 10 things you saw that day. And what I did was I thought about all the things, or like I allowed my brain to surface all the things that I thought about multiple times that day. And that was what I drew and then I wrote a little about. And I realized these themes immediately. And it was like that way of thinking about my day and like recapping my day in terms of what were the images and feelings that came up a bunch and just recalling that, I was like, wow, this is a really powerful practice and something I might consider doing every day of like what just occurred a bunch of times today. Because that happens like even in the slightest way of, thinking about how it's something that happened that day is I'd seen this car with three pieces of duct tape holding its trunk down. And then I saw the car a few minutes later, and then it hit the car in front of me that was driving, and they all both went off the road. It was this like huge, intense experience. And like the thing that stuck in my mind is I'd seen that car a few moments back, and I noticed those three little pieces. And so I was safe and stopped, like had slowed down the car because I was paying attention to that just random thing that stuck in my mind, right? And it's these little things and learning that habit of, oh, I thought about this before, I noticed this before, I'm gonna like slow down and keep noticing and see what happens is like it's kind of it.
Yeah. And I think listening to your body is so important too. Like our body always tells us before we know what's going to happen. It's always our body first and it's the first part of our intuition. And
Yes.
then the next part is like, questioning what is it that's making me feel anxious and then the thing occurs. I've had two experiences in cars. I've been in, my fair share of accidents, but I've had two specific experiences in cars where I knew before that something bad happened. And the first one that I had was when my first son was really little and I was taking him to school and we were in traffic. We were in traffic. We were really slow. I mean, like really, really slow. And about 2 blocks up, I see this car just like go like this and then back up. And immediately when I saw that car, I was like, I just, something felt wrong. Like I got heavy and like felt
Mm.
kind of like I couldn't move. And I thought to myself, that car is going to hit me. How would I know that? 2 blocks away in slow traffic, like inching
Yeah.
along. And guess what? That lady just, whoosh, she came flying out of that street and hit my car, and I spun in a circle, and it was bad.
Yeah.
Luckily, my son wasn't injured. But I knew. I mean, I knew. Like, I knew she was going to hit me, and I couldn't move. If I could have, I would have turned. I would have left, but there was no way. I was just like, she's going to hit me, and there's nothing I can do about it. There was another time where I was on my way home from work, and it was nighttime, and I was at a red light, and then the light turned green, and my body just got really heavy. And I looked at the
Mm.
light, and my body was telling me, "Don't go,
Don't
don't."
go.
And I'm sitting there thinking, why would my body? And right as I start questioning what my body's telling me, this giant truck just flies through a red light right in front of me.
Wow.
Now, if I would have gone when it turned green, I wouldn't be here today. So, I always
Wow.
tell people like your body will tell you,
Hmm.
and paying attention can literally save your life. You know, um,
Absolutely.
sometimes and you can't get out of it. That has happened to me, but just trusting your intuition and trusting your body, that it knows what's going to happen before you do.
It does. It
um,
does. And there's some scientific backing to that, right? Like our body receives information that we're not consciously processing. And that's like something that comes from neuroscience that isn't understood. It is still theories and they don't exactly know what's going on, but there's an understanding that sensory information is coming into our body and it doesn't reach a level of conscious awareness till a while after. And so, it's not just this like woo woo thing of, you know, oh, listen to your body because it's psychic or something like this. It's like, it's how we function. It's how our body was meant to function.
yeah,
And, we don't understand it, and we're trained in a lot of ways not to pay attention to it, to ignore how our body feels and just like power through and use our brain. And going back to probably how we functioned as humans for most of our existence as a species of listening to it, um, is a powerful act. I think it's really important.
yeah. And I think like if we just took time out of everything, like if we just pretended, maybe not pretended, time doesn't exist. Okay, time is a construct that was made up. It makes things make a little more sense if you think
Mhm.
about like future me, maybe future me was telling present me, like, don't go because if you do, bad things going to happen. What if our future versions of ourselves can communicate with us? If we just take like
Absolutely.
spirits and all that stuff out of it and just say, like, because maybe it's like your guides, your angel guides, right? Maybe it's your
Yeah,
ancestors, maybe it's whoever it is, your team of dead, that are protecting you, or maybe it's your future self. And I feel like it is possible to communicate with past and future versions of yourself, and if you think about it that way, um, that makes sense too, as far as like being a psychic, because
yeah,
oh, I was just having a conversation with future me, and future me knows something that present me doesn't know, and just kind of gave me the inside scoop. And yeah, I mean, it still does sound a little woo woo, but we don't know everything. I mean,
we don't know. Yes, we
there's
don't
so much.
know.
Yeah, there's so much that can be explained by science, like energy. I always like the idea of prayer, manifestation, like all of it, I think is like it's a form of the same thing. You're putting energy out there, in one way or another. And there's so many different versions of, how these things are explained, but I think that scientifically they can all be explained for the most part, you know, um, and maybe not everything, but for the most part.
Yeah. And if you look hard enough, there's almost always a culture that has an explanation of how they looked at it in a different time and place. I mean, even currently, there's so many different ways humans have conceptualized this stuff and made sense of it and made practice of it that, you know, we might not have a ton of it in our current culture. And that's where there's a big chunk of the book in the beginning that's about like just a bunch of different ideas for how to think about it. I love the future self speaking to us. And that sort of, there's an intuitive, there's a thing about that that makes intuitive sense too. Like we know how important it is to like focus on our past self, right? There's so much work in psychology is about like inner child work and reparenting and all this stuff about our past selves. And I'm like, well, then why wouldn't we work with our future self? That just doesn't make sense. Like, yeah. So I think it's really actually both fun and important for our practice to figure out ways that make sense of these things for us, whether it's something we find in another time or place, something that makes sense to our own intuition that we are kind of developing, like theories we develop for ourselves, things we read, things we talk about and have conversations with people about. It's so fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And I really believe there's probably not one single right answer. Like, there's a lot of different things going on. And I mean, I can't wait for the day when we're all kind of like, oh yeah, you remember when our culture didn't know how this stuff worked, right? Because I do think we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's also kind of like the idea of like a language, a collective language where we all communicate telepathically to each other. And
Yes.
a lot of people have told me that in dreams, when they communicate with their dead, they don't speak to each other. I
Mm-hmm.
myself included, I communicate telepathically with my dead because they
Yep.
don't. It's almost like it's an evolved language that we all have energetically to be able to communicate with each other, yet we don't. You know,
Yeah.
so if somebody dies and they visit you, you're able to have that conversation with them because you're like, I'm talking to a dead person. Like anything is possible right now. So your mind is open to that and you're able to have that communication. And I feel like that's normal for people to have said they've experienced in dreams, because in
Mm-hmm.
a dream, it's comfortable. They're dreaming. It doesn't have to be real. Whether they believe it's real or not, they can say it was a dream. But when it happens to you in the waking world, telepathically, it's like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just there isn't really that explanation for it because it's it doesn't look the same or feel the same when it's in the waking world than when you're asleep. And so I think that I'm like, yeah, it could happen whether you're awake or asleep. Like anything is possible. And I think that giving ourselves permission to just um, accept that maybe we don't understand or know everything that is possible, but just imagine if we could pay attention to that and,
Mm-hmm.
what we could learn, what we could pick up, what we could, experience if we just were able to allow ourselves to not close off. And I know there are other people that are like you before, like writing this book, where very intellectual and had to kind of work yourself into saying that, like, I don't know about this, and giving yourself that permission to be able to experience this. It does happen for a lot of people, but they want to, and
Yes.
that's the thing, is that I feel like everybody wants to be able to do that. And it's like, yeah, it's woo woo, but it's not as woo woo as you think it is. You can be on both sides. Like you can believe in
Yes.
believe in the magical part of things that you don't understand completely, and I think that it's okay to do both.
I do too. And that's one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you is because I know that's how you approach things. And for me, that's like my people. If more of us just talk about that, yes, we accept both. We have a way of rationally looking at the world and a way of, I call it irrationally looking at the world, which is sort of a joke from me because I don't think it's irrational and rational, but I fully accept that some people do, and I'm like, that's okay. And I really think it's a more honest and complete way of looking at the world, that I just hope grows, and I want to talk with everybody about it. I'm like, let's just keep talking about this. Like, it doesn't have to be one way or the other.
Yeah. And I think that's where you and I connect, is that we both
Hmm.
want people to see how like it's possible for anybody, you know,
Yes,
and it doesn't have to be scary or weird or super woo woo. It can just be being able to trust yourself enough to, you know, and have, you know, good practice to be able to not let it kind of take over your life in a
yes.
way that is unsafe, which is important to, you know, acknowledge too. But um, I feel like I could just talk to you forever about this.
I know this is so fun.
I, I your book is amazing, and I love it so much, and I've been referring it to everyone. I just it's great. This is
Mm,
Tiffany's book. Tiffany, you
yay.
also have a website that has lots of really great information on it as well. You could say what it is, but you could also, I'm going to save this video. If you want, I can tag you. Um,
Yes,
and if you want to like put in any information below, so that people can find out, like where, you know, find your website and things like that, that's good too, because then people
great.
see it in the writing. People may even ask you questions after this, after watching. So
Oh,
um,
I'd love that.
I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me. I've been really excited about talking about all of these things with you, and hopefully, I'll get the opportunity to have more conversations with you in the future about mediumship and intuition. Is there anything that you would like to end with? Anything you have coming up that you want to plug?
Actually, I'm so grateful for you holding this space and having this conversation, and inviting me and asking such profound questions. The website is normalizedtalkingtothedead.com. I have a lot of resources on there for people, a practitioner directory, a glossary, all kinds of stuff that wouldn't fit in a book. It's kind of a small way to like cram everything in there. It's a little paperback. And I have two series running right now, two circles that I run. One is through Morbid Anatomy that we do on all the seasons and cross quarters, so equinox, solstice, cross quarters, and I do them 2 days before so that everybody can do whatever they're already doing for those holidays, and then we just sort of get ourselves set up, and it's a mediumship for creativity circle, so you can find that on Morbid Anatomy. And then I have a circle for readers of Beyond that's just like a good old fashioned development circle, I call it. It's only an hour. You can find it on my website as well, where we just get together, talk about how mediumship's holding up, like showing up in our life, and practice. Um, so it's like just a place to connect and to do this together. I wish it was in person, but it's online for now. And so that's the stuff I have going on. Those are both recurring. The development circles once a month. I'll probably have some more stuff coming in the summer. But please ask questions. I'd love to hear from people, and thank you so much. This has been so awesome.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And I'm happy to hear that you have a reading circle to talk about the book. I will definitely share that as well. And I will add all of your tags in the bottom of the description after I'm done with the video and I post it, so that everybody can find you and follow you and check out your awesome book and your website. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future and seeing all your future offerings.
Amazing. Thank you. And yes, I look forward to our next time hanging out and maybe having a seance or something.
Mm. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. You're in a really
Thank
beautiful
you.
place, and
Yeah, lots of trees.
oh, those trees, I at them the whole time. I miss you. Uh,
All
anyway, yeah. Have a good rest of your night.
right, bye.
Bye.